Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. All right, so today we're going to talk about how you can outline your paper. Everybody writes differently. That is absolutely the truth. There's no right or wrong, absolutely. For this, I know that if you're anything like me, when I get too much information, I get overwhelmed and I shut down. I need to organize my brain into small pieces. You saw when we did the MLA format that for me it was easier if I saw everything in its own thing, in its own place. Then I could break it apart and go, oh, that makes sense to me. I want to try and do that for you as well with this paper, with this outline. You're going to notice on the pages I have information here. I even include the outline template, and it looks just like this on our page where we have the introduction, introduce your question, the body, the first main point, examples and details, all the way down through to the conclusion. So just as a heads up, the best way for us to start this is to kind of like we did with the MLA, is just to fill in the gaps, kind of start, and you can do this in any way that you want. You can start from the beginning, you can start from the end, whatever works for you. You won't have an ultimate conclusion until you finished your paper. So the conclusion is literally the absolute last thing. So you can't say, well, in conclusion, I think, and then not have done any research whatsoever. So it doesn't work that way. And you'll know because when you go to write your conclusion, you're like, I don't know, I haven't done any research. So one all the way down, you'll see throughout how this is going to work for you. So let's start from the beginning. Again, most people can just start writing and be fine and get to the end. I don't work that way. I need organization and I need structure. So I'm going to help you out with what works for me. So we're going to fill in the gaps, and the best way to start this obviously is you need a topic. And so for you, you've come up with a question that you want to answer, and the only way to answer it is through research. Okay, so we've got one. We're going to work with the homelessness topic we've been working throughout so far, where we say, how do we alleviate the homeless problem in Chico? Okay, so my first question would be, how do I introduce your question? How do I alleviate homelessness? In fact, let's actually fill it in the blanks here in our actual outline template. Um, all the stuff I actually kind of do this as I write it through down here, so you can take a look at it through the actual canvas. But for now, we're just going to write on. Oops, getting a little overzealous here. Give me a second. Okay. So, and again, it doesn't have to be perfect or pretty. You're literally just writing, okay? You're just putting stuff on there. You'll work out the details later. For now, you've got some ideas. You have to put it down. So, I have to learn how to spell. Okay, there we go. So, how can I alleviate the homeless problem in Chico? So you've done a little bit of research just out of curiosity. So one of the things is obviously we have to address, well, what is homelessness and what causes it? So your first main point might be addressing what homelessness is and what the problem is. So, what is, and then, maybe what is the problem? So, okay, I know this. The simple answer would be, well, the problem is that these people are homeless. But at the same time, there are some people, sorry about that. So there are some people who actually choose to be homeless. So they might not necessarily see it as a problem, okay? Anyway, so that's going to be something we might address here in our first main point. I'm not sure how you want to do that. We're just kind of throwing some things against the wall. What is homelessness? What is the problem? Or actually, even throw in what causes homelessness? Okay, and this is a big question because for this, under each point, we might have, what is the problem? So like example number one might be, what causes homelessness? That could be one. All right, so that's maybe one point. Maybe an example or a detail might be, you know, I don't know. I don't know how what homelessness is gonna. Let's do this. So you see it as I process through. I might go, I don't think I like those two. but I like this statement. Okay, so what causes homelessness? And then here you would say, you know, causes of homelessness. You might even have more subtopics. Oops, as let's see here, maybe drugs and alcohol might be an issue. Maybe mental illness. Maybe financial. Wow. Forgive me. Can you tell this is the last in a series of many that I've done? Financial. Okay, well, thank you for fixing that, Google. Okay, anyway, so we have maybe drugs and alcohol, maybe financial issues. Might be a thing. So you see how you start to get into some subtopics. Each one of these might be a whole new paragraph. Like there could be more to it. So right now we're just throwing out ideas. And again, we keep breaking it open and giving ourselves more things to kind of discuss and understand. Because, what is homelessness? Why do we care? Why do we want to help? What's the issue? So we could say homelessness on a community. Maybe some issues are, safety. Safety, that's obviously a big one. Maybe health. We have a huge, let's see here. Right, so we know that in health, we have trashed communities and parks, places that normally we would want to go hang out, but we can't because there's needles everywhere, right? These are just things that, might be why, some effects that homelessness has on a community, not just on the person. So what's some causes of it? What are the effects of it? See how we're kind of starting to break it down. So again, these could all be their own separate paragraphs and their own separate things. So already you probably have 3 pages of work right here. Easily. Like, see how easy it was just to talk about that? Done. So now we see that maybe drugs and alcohol, mental illness, and financial issues are things that are what causes it. So maybe we can think of some programs, right? So maybe some programs to help out in homelessness. So obviously we know that one of the issues might be drug and alcohol abuse, help, right? So maybe there's some programs that can help. Maybe there's some mental issue help. What else? Maybe some programs that can help with mental issues, maybe financially, right? So what you could do as a subtopic here is, what programs are available to the community right now. You could do the same thing for emotional help. Okay, so one thing you might find is like, yes, programs, we got this. How do these programs work and who's going to fund it, right? That might be another issue. Like, oh, well, it's easy. We just get some, programs that can help these people. So, how can... Okay, so how can you develop or fund these programs might be a question. So unfortunately, a lot of it might have to be, oops, let's go back. Maybe here, maybe local government, isn't helping. Maybe they're finding that to them, they don't really care. That's not necessarily the case in Chico. They do have a couple things, but then people are arguing against it, right? So maybe local government isn't helping, is helping. How are the program? Let's see here. Is that going to work? How can a community fund or develop these programs? Yeah, so how, I don't know. So you can kind of see where this is going. Anyway, so these are just kind of like throwing some things against the wall and see what's sticking. In one of these, you remembered going, oh, I remember, oh, I don't have it here. I remember that I had a thing about homelessness somewhere on one of my papers. And if you're like me, I have 1,000 of these things open, which is drives me crazy, but whatever. Um, I'm going back to the paper where I had a link to different types of reasons for homelessness. I just happen to remember that. So here I had this, and I thought, oh shoot, that's right. This was talking about the contemporary studies of homelessness. I think I'm going to copy and paste this here to. Oops, sorry. I want to go to outline. Because I remember I had some reasons for it, but I can't remember all of them. These were just some things. So what you could do is you can copy and paste the entire link. You could do, let's see, where is it at? You could do the entire, like this whole thing, because it included the name of the article title and the sociology, so maybe that'll help you. Or you could just do, um, just this part. Maybe you don't need the whole article. Maybe you just want to do this to keep it from getting too complicated. Um, so causes of homelessness, you kind of knew that that link was going to send it there, so you could post it there and then get to that later. So if you click on it, it should send you straight back to that article that you were looking at. So then you could remember, oh, that's right, that's what this was about. Right? So on this one, you probably have to log in. So it says find my institution. So you might have to log in again to access it. So anyway, keep that in mind. If you click on it, you will have to log back into Butte if you haven't already. Okay, so anyway, this is what you could do. Say there was another thing where you're like, oh, there was programs. It was this one website that, chico.com/government programs. Maybe you had the link for it, right? So you could just kind of put that there. Anyway, so you just can't, maybe you don't want to write a whole bunch of stuff. You just want to put the link so you can access it later to kind of put all your stuff together so you'll have something to work with. Say maybe you don't like having this as your second point. Maybe you want it as your third point or vice versa. Maybe you want to move things around. All you have to do is highlight it, copy and paste it, and then move it back and forth. So that's the one really good thing about with the Google Docs. You can kind of push things around. And remember, you can go back to when it was last edited. Sorry, edited. And you can go and check, take a look and see, maybe you want to go back to one of your old ideas that you had. You're like, oh shoot, I don't like this order, I like that order. So instead of trying to remember the order, you can just click back to where, restore to some of the old things that you're at. So anyway, that is one reason why I really love Google Docs. This is why I suggest you use it, just because it's always available for like me or a peer. You don't have to upload it and send it somewhere. It's always available, so we can go through and help you if we need to. I usually suggest checking with peers first before checking with me, because they will probably have, since they're doing it too, they might have a better way of working this out than I do. I just do what I know has worked for me, and based on what I'm showing you, this is all the ways in which I've done it that has worked really well for me. But maybe you have a peer or someone who you kind of trust, or maybe you've seen their discussions online and you're like, I think this person understands what I'm trying to do, maybe they can help me. So you can reach out to your peers first. That's usually my suggestion, because they'll probably have a better answer than I will, because I'll probably just say, well, did you read the directions? And, because I've already given as much as I can, I don't know if there's a way that I can help that will give you a better view. I might, and it's absolutely excellent to reach out to me, but I always say, always check with your peers first, because man, I tell you, you guys see things obviously that I can't, and it's awesome and it blows my mind. And it's always good to have multiple brains on something. So anyway, That's pretty much what we're working with here. So I also wrote through here different, it's a kind of very similar to what we just did, but I wrote it out so you have a way to read it if for some reason the videos aren't working for you. So I say that as if you weren't watching this video right now. So anyway, hopefully this works out for you. This is just the way that I've done it before. Again, it's not a mandatory, like you must do it this way, but what's going to happen is I probably will be asking for an outline so that I can see where you're going. To be honest with you, it's the way that I've seen in my experience in teaching this that this has worked the best, at least for me to see where you're at. It also gives you something to start with. Otherwise, what happens is you start writing, you're all over the place, you're freaking out. I don't know where to go, I don't know what to do. And again, this just helps me see where you're going, and we can talk about it later and say, oh, maybe this is a better avenue, or man, I never would have thought that. That's really brilliant. I'm glad you did that. So anyway, so this is what we have working with for your outline. If you have any questions, go ahead and you can email me, but again, the usual. Go ahead and check with others who probably have a better answer than I do right now. And that's about it. So thank you guys.